Hey, today we're going to talk about the Leica Q3 43mm. This is a new camera that's going to join the Leica Q family. So far we had the Leica Q, the Q2 and the Q3 that had a Summilux 28mm f1.7 lens, the same one, and we now have a new lens. So this is a big deal. I think this is going to be very, very good for all those that throughout the years asked me, is there ever going to be a 35, a 50mm and so forth? Well, this is the camera you have been waiting for. Right off the bat, why 43 specifically and not 50 or 35? The reason why they went with 43 is simply because, like they say, you capture reality. What that means is that the images resemble what the human eye perceives. 43mm is not just that, it is also cool because it is mathematically the diagonal of the full frame sensor, 24 by 36mm. And that means that the proportions and the distances are accurately reproduced without distortions. So you're basically gonna get the best ratio and image that you can get from a focal length in terms of distortions, and it is the most similar or the closest you will get to the human eye. That is great because you are going to capture photos that are real. I could call them real or true to what was there. And you won't have the usual distortion when you go too wide or too zoomed in terms of compression and so forth. So that makes it great for things like portrait, events, traveling, street, and just everyday life. Talking of portraits, I thought afterwards to include a few portraits here in the studio. I'm here with Jem. She's going to be the model for these few shots that I'm going to be showing you so that you have a little idea as to what you can do with this Leica Q3 43. Let's do it. It now has an apochromatic lens design. What that is that you are going to get minimized color aberrations for even sharper, higher contrast, and more accurate color reproduction from edge to edge. Yes, that's what apochromatic brings to the table. It will give you a very, very sharp image, even if you go look in the top left corner or the bottom right corner, and you will have it throughout the image. Now, by way of comparison, if you take, for example, the Summicron M35 f2 aspherical lens. This is an M-mount lens for the Leica M series. It costs close to $8,000 by itself without a body. So when you're getting a camera like this, for the price that I will tell you in a moment, you're basically getting a very, very interesting package, and you are getting an apochromatic lens. That is not nothing. The maximum aperture has changed as well. As I said, it used to be a Summilux f1.7 and it is now a Summicron f2. The minimum aperture is the same at f16. It is the same full-frame triple resolution sensor that allows you to shoot DNG files at 18, 36, or 60 megapixels. In terms of autofocus, you can use phase detect, contrast detection, or object detection. There's a new look that you can download from the Leica photo app. This is called the Leica Chrome or CHR. I wasn't able to download it, unfortunately, because I got this before it was released, but you can download it and it gives you a very interesting look. Obviously, there's still a macro mode. You can switch it on the lens like you used to do on any other Leica Q camera. And per my test, you can get at roughly 24 centimeters minimum distance in macro mode. What about digital crops? As you know, the Leica Q has digital crops. Why are they called digital crops? Well, basically because you are cropping into your DNG file. So if you're shooting at 28mm like the regular Leica Q3, you are going to crop into your DNG and lose resolution on your JPEGs as you crop in. Now, this is also great for someone to know what would be the equivalent of having another lens attached to the camera. So you can see what you would see if you had that lens. For example, if you had a 28mm Leica Q3 and you set it to 75mm, you could see what's your field of view, your focal length at 75. Now this one being a 43mm prime lens, you are going to get a little further away in terms of digital crops. The Q3 used to be 28, 35, 50, 75, and 90, and you can now go 43, 60, 75, 90, 120, and 150. So you can really zoom far away. Now, obviously, like I said, this is for the JPEGs only, and you are going to lose some quality. So I highly suggest you shoot everything at 60 megapixels when doing so. In terms of weight, there's only about 50 grams difference between the regular Q3 28mm and this new Q3. We're talking 794 grams with the battery on this new iteration compared to 743 grams for the Q3. There is a new gray leatherette look for this Leica Q3 that looks very nice actually. It's very subtle, but it also differentiates the 43 from the 28mm. Let's talk about the price. The information that I got is that the new 43 millimeters version is going to cost 6,750 euro as compared to 6,250 euro. So it's about 500 bucks difference between this one and the standard or the previous 28mm. Now, obviously, this iteration is not going to replace the original Leica Q3 28mm. It is just an addition for those that want to have something a little bit more zoomed in or more cropped in, and we'll be shooting that type of photos. Sometimes it's good to have something zoomed in, sometimes it's good to have something a little wider. So it depends what type of photography you're doing, and I mean, you could also go for both. Now, there's a couple things I want to tell you that I noticed and that I think could have been implemented and could be a miss. The first thing is the content authenticity initiative. Like we've had on the Leica 11P, it was not implemented on this camera like they didn't implement it on the SL3. Not sure why that is, especially for a camera like this. It would be great to have that so that you could maybe use this for reportage or just for work. But anyways, it's not there. It's not a must. It's not something I use. But if you're in journalism and so forth, that could have been a great thing to have. The next thing is the menus. You're going to have the same menus as found on the Leica Q3 or the SL2, SL2S, previous to the SL3 basically. So they didn't put the new menus. I don't think that's a bad thing. I love the older menus. That's the ones I know the best, but maybe they'll put them in a future update. Who knows? There still is no internal storage on this camera. So you have one SD slot and that's it. That to me is a bit of a pity because the Leica M series started having more and more internal storage. They now have 256 gigs. I think that's great if you're going to be shooting, for example, I don't know, weddings or events or things that you do need a backup for. Having internal storage allows you to shoot both on your SD card and on your internal storage. So in case something happens to your card, you still have a backup. That's something I think they should look into for future models. That pretty much sums up my review. I think Leica did take a step forward here in the realm of compact cameras. If you look at the other cameras on the market right now, I mean, a 43mm is very smart. It is apochromatic, so you are gonna get the absolute best quality you can get from a lens. It is just amazing that they managed to do that and that they're giving it out for that price. Like I said, the counterpart for an M camera costs more just for the lens. So when you think about all the features, the macro, digital crops, the weather sealing and all that, I think this is a very good option. Let me know in the comment section below if I missed anything. If you have any question, I'm here. Feel free to ask. Don't forget to subscribe if you like my content so you don't miss any of my future videos. And I see you very soon. Keep taking great shots. Cheers.